Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and welcome to a day in my life. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Vegan Prepper. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Vegan Prepper. So first up, I am completing my Etsy orders, and today I only have one order. So it is, obviously I appreciate having business, but it is also kind of really nice on those days when I only have a little bit to do, and I'll just get this one order done and get to the rest of what I am doing today, which is organizing my seeds. And so this is the shenanigans that I have going on right now with my seeds. This is the old seed container. I'm wanting to put everything into these two. My friend's mom was getting rid of these. And so, or these things right here. And so my friend actually asked if I wanted them, I think because she thought I might want them for like pictures or scrapbooking or something. I used to be really huge into scrapbooking and like arts and crafts and stuff. Kind of in my old life, my pre-Sage life. But I wanted them for seed storage. So I got really excited when she offered these to me, and I took both of them. So they are new to me, and this is the seed saving system that I have wanted for so long. It's just basically photo storage for 4x6 photos, but it's perfect for storing seed packets. And I've seen other channels. I first saw it on the Epic Gardening YouTube channel. And then I just wanted them, but I don't know. I didn't want to buy them. And then they just sort of showed up in my life. So thank God. But like, this is the realest of the real. I set this up here to organize, and because it sat for anywhere in my house for 3 seconds, it started accumulating random papers on its surface. It's a surface somewhere in my house, so it's accumulating papers. I don't even know how that happens. Can y'all comfort me? Does that happen in your house too? Because sometimes it's like, it drives me crazy. Anyway, okay. I'm going back to actually finish my order, and then I'll bring you back when I am actually getting into this and organizing it and figuring out where on earth I'm going to put this pile of papers. Because it's like, they're not my papers. And okay. All right.
I like you, Mommy.
Hey. So, I was going to start organizing my seeds, but then Sage decided she wanted to come hang out and sit in my lap for a little while she drinks. And it's funny that, because I did nurse her for over 3 years, and so she still connects me with drinking. Even though she drinks from a cup now, she has to like be with me when she's drinking out of a cup. It's kind of funny. So we're still, I don't know if that's something that I need to necessarily break her of. I mean, it's not that she can't, like, she does drink without me, but like if I'm here when she wants a drink, she comes and she drinks. So anyway, we'll just sit for a while, and then I will go ahead and start working on these seeds. Okay, so I have already done one organizing jaunt and gotten all of the seed packets organized, but they're not labeled yet. But those are in here. And so I also, just as a note, I use this calendar. So for anybody who is also trying to grow in super hot conditions, this is the calendar that helped me so much. And so basically I only have things in these 8 containers here. And then all of these and all of those are empty. So I'm actually hopeful that I'll be able to get through this entire tote, which is basically just old seed from the garden. So like, for instance, this is basil seed that is so old, and seriously, I don't think it's sprouted in forever. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and compost that, or just like turn it into mulch. And then my thinking is, if any of this is viable, maybe it'll come up wherever I mulch it, in which case that would be awesome. And if it's a good place, I'll just leave it there. And if it's not a good place, then I can move them while they're kind of small, and get them into a new spot. I have very low success with starting seeds in seed starting trays. I don't have any kind of internal grow light set up yet. I really want to. And then, as funny as it may sound, I live in central Arizona. Our houses, at least I think the good ones, so ours is a good one, is designed to not ever have direct sunlight coming into any window. under any circumstances. So we don't get direct sun in any of our windows. And so my seedlings always get, I forget the term, leggy, like where they don't open right at the surface. They get super long, and then that's not okay. So I basically have to start all of my seeds outside in the beds, and then I just move them as desired. I think I even have a couple of videos on the channel showing me how I move my seedlings. They're old though, older gardening videos, and I just use a fork and I get in and I move them, and it works really well. So like I said, a lot of this stuff is probably going to just turn into mulch. Some of it I will attempt to bag up and save. But yeah, basically I'm going to be getting into all of these containers and somehow transferring this mess into just these 2 containers, and that will be absolutely fantastic. So Adam and I have been talking about the garden outside, and he and I were actually talking last night, and he really surprised me because he said he wants to expand the garden. I'm a little bit trepidatious about this because pretty much up until this point, the garden has been like 95% my responsibility. So I haven't been able to really keep up with it in its current state, just with everything that's been going on in my life lately. And like mainly taking care of Sage, but also just I've had some health issues I haven't talked about on the channel, which are resolving themselves. Yay! They're not really resolving themselves. Like I'm resolving it. We're taking care of it. I've had just so many things going on, working out. I'm doing chiropractic care now. It's just been crazy. And the idea, oh yeah, and running my business and doing school now for clinical herbalism. So the idea of making, I'm sorry, and I keep looking outside because I have a view of my garden. The idea of making this thing bigger is like, I'm just like, we've got to get a logistics thing in place where other people are doing stuff, not just me. And so it's probably going to end up being the boys. And then I feel guilty about that because they work so hard for school and they have so much homework, and that it feels like he's gone more than he's here. And so I don't know how people work these things out, like with their older kids when they start like leaving. Elliot he's capable. So I don't know if I just need to make them go outside and do 15 minutes a day or what we're looking at. I just honestly, this is like a thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, because I agree with the necessity of it with growing more and more and more of our own food. I was actually joking that I should have been doing the YouTube channel like 3 or 4 years ago. I used to be like a superstar out here, and we were growing so much of our own food, and I was working so hard and getting all this stuff done. But yeah, having Sage just sort of completely flipped everything upside down. And I was completely unprepared for how much work it was going to be a nursing mom. I didn't really nurse Thad or Elliot, but I nursed Sage for over 3 years. And yeah, anyway, we're coming back. Sorry. I don't know if this is boring, but like I said, I'm just kind of a little bit like in my head, like expand the garden, really. So anyway, we have to do a lot of cleaning, but a lot of this seed organization is just getting to the point where it's like, okay, honey, I mean, if you think it's time to expand the garden and we have plans for getting all that work done, then I guess I need to get us set up to actually start doing all that. So anyway, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the seed work today. We're going to start the cleanup today and getting everything set for planting. We should have been doing it. Winter is actually our main planting season, but in a way, I guess it's not so bad going into summer because there's not going to be so much to do, because there's not going to be so many varieties of plants that we can grow. But yeah, it's a little overwhelming to even think about it. So I'm going to not think about it, and I'm just going to continue organizing my seeds, and we will see what it ends up looking like. Okay, so I wanted to talk briefly about how I tend to organize tasks like this that are just completely like huge and don't seem to have a real starting point. And the way that I do it is basically to just start. um, that I know. So like I kind of get in my head, like the goal obviously is to move these into there. And so how do I do that? Well, I have these, like I bought, a long time ago, I have a huge collection of these little envelopes. So basically my current plan and goal is to just begin transferring seeds from other containers into envelopes. And then once I've got the envelopes, then I can start putting them into here. And then I think that for some of these much larger collections of seeds, like this is a whole thing of calendula seeds, I don't know if I'll just like leave these bagged and put them somewhere else, or if I will split these into these containers. Like some of the larger seed collections, I may just end up dumping one of these jars just like into one of those plastic containers. And I'm just not sure yet, because I'm not 100% sure how full these are going to get with the envelopes. But for now, the smaller amounts, what can go into those envelopes is going to go into those envelopes. And then anything that's like really super old will just get mulched. So one of the larger containers I decided to split into some larger envelopes because I remembered I have these like in my scrapbooking stash. But I did just realize one of the things about envelopes that are specifically designed for seeds is that the opening will go pretty much flush with the fold, if you can see that. But this is actually going to leave a little bit of an opening where potentially seeds might spill out. So hopefully it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, that's something I noticed, but like I said, hopefully it's not too big of a deal. I'm just going to continue moving forward because these are just not big enough for some of the somewhat larger containers of seeds I have. Just as a point of interest, I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen moringa seed pods, but I have several pods, and this is just how I had them off my tree because I hadn't collected them yet. But let me find it. Where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. It's my bag of moringa seeds. So I have quite a few of these, and I want to basically plant ourselves like a little moringa grove. And so this is in the plans for this summer. For planting, a ton of trees. I want to have like at least 20 or 30 moringa trees in the backyard for additional nutrition and nutrients and whatnot. But it's kind of funny because so some of the pods come off looking just kind of little and dinky, but this one right here is the best seed pod I've ever gotten off of my moringa, and you can see how big it is. It is quite large. But I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of these or seen what they look like inside, so I thought I would split this open and show you guys what the moringa seeds look like. I think they're so cool. So it sort of just opens up. I'm wondering if this would be a better view. Oh yeah, maybe. Okay. Sorry for doing it one-handed. See, the moringa seeds nestle in here, and they look like little spaceships. But you can see that it's not really little. That's a large seed. These are the biggest ones I've ever gotten, like the best and biggest pod I've ever gotten. So even though I have that full bag of moringa seeds already, my plan is to separate these out because it's just the best looking pod ever. And these will definitely be some, I'm going to plant every single one of these because it's just the best one that I've ever gotten. So apparently you can make your own moringa seed oil, which I've never tried before. You can crack this open and get to almost the nut on the inside of the seed, and then use that for making your own oil. I haven't tried that yet, but it is definitely something I'm thinking about trying, especially considering how many moringa seeds I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of the seeds out of the pods and get those into the bags. But these I am going to keep out separate, like I said, just because they're the best ones. And so we're going to plant those first. And yeah, I am excited about that. Okay, so I have emptied the moringa pods and broken them down into slightly smaller pieces. So I've been making some real progress now. Not only, recognizing that I need to do the envelopes, but then also having my mulch bag just ready. So for any of the seeds that are just super old, or like things that I'm not planning on growing again on purpose, I'm putting it into this bag, and then these are going to get thrown out into the beds, like I said. And then if stuff begins to come up, yay for me. If not, then it will go to feed the soil even still, or maybe it will feed some birds. I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these guys put into the little mulch bag, and just continue my work. And hopefully when I come back, the whole thing will be completely finished. I found another jar of moringa seeds. It's getting out of hand. Here is the original seed storage box that I got back when I thought I could still do this cute. So it was an essential oil box. And because I do have a lot of essential oils, I had taken a lot of the bottles, which I cleaned, and then put them here thinking that was going to be all the seeds that I would need. And then seed packets would go in here. And it worked for a little while, actually kind of perfectly, but just for a little while. Pretty much as soon as any kind of real content started real growing started happening outside, this became way too small, way too fast. So probably most of these are going to go into the mulch bags. And then the bottles, I don't know. I mean, obviously this is still super handy. So I'm very happy with my tree essential bottle thing, or essential oil thing in my kitchen. I don't know if you guys have seen my tree. It's actually a nail polish shelf. Here is that shelf I'm using in my kitchen area. And like I said, it was a nail polish shelf. I got that on Amazon. If you look up nail polish shelf or storage, you'll probably find this exact same one. But that's what I'm using for my essential oils. I'm very happy with it. So I don't really want to use the box for essential oils, but I'm trying to decide what I could use those empty bottles for now that I'm not planning on using that for seeds anymore. So anybody who has ideas of what I could store in there instead, hit me up, because I definitely don't want to get rid of that box. I love it. It's beautiful. But yeah, I just need some ideas. So anyway, I am continuing my work. All right, we have hit the bottom of the tote. All the seeds, and not any surprise here, but there's more moringa seeds in there. But yeah, oh my gosh, it's so exciting to make progress on this project. So this is a loofah that was in the tote. This is a dried up old loofah. So the inside will be a small loofah, like for cleaning. I don't know if you guys knew. Probably most of you know, but some people don't know. Actually, I didn't know that a loofah is not a sponge. It's not an ocean thing. Like, I always thought that it was an animal product, but it isn't. It is a plant. And so probably many of you already know that. But anyway, I grow my own loofah, or I haven't, but we have several loofah on hand that I use for cleaning around the house. And I'm definitely planning on planting more this year, but I just thought it might be interesting for you guys to see a dried loofah. Now, granted, this is a very small one, but this one I'm loath to take apart, even though I know it won't last forever, because this was a little toy that I used almost like with Sage when she was really little. I used to shake it like a rattle. As you can hear the seeds in there. And so I'd shake that, and she would shake that too, and that was like a little thing that she would play with and shake. And so I hate to take it apart and get the seeds out, because it's like kind of special. But I have actually, I think, 10 more of these, like this, but not quite this little and cute with like this cute little handle. But that I still haven't taken the seeds out yet. So I need to make a video of how to get the seeds out and like how to wash the loofah. So like I said, like I don't know if I said it in a take, here, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, so I'm gonna just be really fast, but it's like, gosh, I should have been doing my YouTube channel like 3 or 4 years ago, because I feel like I was way cooler then. Now I'm just like so inundated with so many random things, I feel like I never actually ever get anything done. So okay, my gosh, it is all finished. All of the seed packets are in here. I do have a few containers of just loose seeds. Oh wow, yeah, this is sketchy at best. So I may need to figure out a different solution eventually for these. But for now, I'm very happy to have everything in the same place. So you see I have calendula here. I actually have a huge pile of calendula in my other container here. There's like 6 or 7 of them are just calendula seeds. So I've got to, and you know, kind of the surrounding shrapnel of the calendula. So this is all calendula now. All the way down to here is calendula. So also, because I don't separate out all of the plant matter just because it takes way too long when I save the seeds. But then I have 4 things of sunflower seeds. I'm planning on planting a lot more sunflower seeds this summer as well. And then 2 little moringas, and then these 4 are empty. So I'll be able to add a little bit to it. Hopefully it'll be more of emptying and adding as I go. I'm very surprised at how many seeds this has held. It might not look like much, but there are thousands of seeds in here. Just with the watermelon and cantaloupe alone, I have thick envelopes of seeds. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of these seeds. I don't think that there's any way I'm going to need more than that. Same thing with some of these greens. I have thousands of seeds. You know how small greens seeds can be. Same thing with like tomatoes and peppers and things. So it doesn't look like it has a lot, or like I've seen seed collections much larger than this. But I just don't think that I need that many, especially because of how many seeds I save myself over the years. One thing I think I will do though this year is, as I am planting, I think I'm going to go ahead and save some of these envelopes, like when they get empty, and maybe that's what I will use some of these empty containers in the other one for. It's just something that I've been thinking about for a little while. It's like I can save the actual little picture so that I have a visual, and then just sort of refill it each year with the seeds that I save, rather than having to get envelopes or come up with some solution. So I think I'm going to try to do that this year. And then I just sort of separated these into categories that made sense to me. They might not make sense to you. And then also I chose to use just Sharpie and not specific labels, because Sharpie is actually very easy to remove with rubbing alcohol. All you have to do is get a little rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab, or just use an alcohol wipe. Like if you have alcohol wipes on hand for first aid or whatever, and just go shoop, and that will just come right off. And then if I need to change anything out or relabel anything, it'll be very easy for me to do so. But anyway, there we go. This project of seed organization is now complete, and I could not be more excited about that. So I'm going to have to figure out where am I putting all of these containers, and also what am I doing with that bamboo box and the tote. So this room is still kind of messy from all the organizing we're still doing. It's like an ongoing project all throughout the house. We're doing so much organizing and sort of deep cleaning right now, but little projects like this, just a little project at a time, it's getting done. So I'm very happy to have that tote empty, to have these set. And also, yeah, I have to figure out where are these going to get stored. For now, I think they're going to go on top of a shelf I have in this room, and that's that. So I'll go ahead and stop talking about that and make some lunch. We are hungry. Thankfully, it's only about 12:30, so I'm not too far behind on that. So it is a bit later, and we had leftovers for lunch. I have picked up Elliot from school, and now Sage and I are just to eat all of the pistachios. And I think I think we're gonna make it. You got it. You got it. Ow, ow, ow. There's one more. Are you gonna get it?
Yeah, I'm saying wow.
Oh, you're gonna chew and swallow first? Okay, that's a good idea. I see the pistachio.
I'm gonna go with that swallow.
You gonna get it? Ah! You got it. There's no more pistachios now.
Now we need to get some more.
We do need to get some more. All right. It's gonna be crazy.
Bang.
Bleh. Ow, 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 ow. You got it?
Yeah.
You got it? Okay, so just sort of continuing the day with some more organization projects, and I've got some of my tea going, and I'm realizing I really have to make that video of how I make my oat straw and nettle tea, and sort of just while that's going, I'm getting things into jars and trying to organize my herbal cabinet some more. I'm hoping to get that 100% organized and filmed pretty soon. It's kind of difficult, right, when you start collecting really large amounts of herbs or large amounts of anything, right? And I've talked about this on the channel many times, that it isn't only just about the stocking and the prepping, right? There's a whole logistical side to it that I think a lot of people don't really talk about and don't really cover. And so I talk a lot about that kind of stuff on the channel because it is an ongoing thing for me. I'm constantly trying to figure out better ways of organizing. And oh, I don't know if you guys hear the sirens. All right, God, we pray the best possible outcome in that situation in Jesus' name. Okay. All right. So I'm constantly working on the logistics of the background of these things and improving my systems, improving my organization, especially as I bring more in. I have to sort of rethink things over and over and over again. It seems like every single time I expand my preps, I have to also dig into and kind of expand my systems and my organization. So what I wanted to show really fast though is I have begun using a lot of these half-gallon jars from Azure Standard for my herbs and my storage. I used to use the tall ball jars, and I have switched over to these for multiple reasons. One of them is the fact that these are so easily stackable. I can stack 3 of these, and I mean, it's not 100% secure, obviously, right? Because it's still stacked jars, but see the top jar, it nestles in that lid. So it's not just falling off. Oh, there's the timer for my tea. And so I really do like that. The other thing I like about these over the tall half-gallon ball jars is how much wider the opening is, so that, you know, most cups, except for like a full 1 cup measure, pretty much all of the measuring cups I have fit into these jars very easily for scooping out and measuring my teas. And so I wanted to show too, for the most part, not 100%. It's kind of like maybe slightly frustrating, but typically about a pound will fit in a jar. And so you have to sometimes kind of squash it, like my elderberry, or not my elderberry, sorry, my elderberry will fit very easily. In fact, I think a pound of elderberries actually will fit in a quart jar. But a pound of elderflowers and a pound of yarrow leaf and flower, for instance, will fit into a half-gallon jar, but you have to like stuff it. But this stevia, this is my stevia leaf, this is how I sweeten many of my teas, so that I'm not using any sugar. And this is, see, it's the actual plant. This is how much would not fit into the jar. So I have to like, just, I guess, I don't know, just use some, and I'll just save this bag. And then I save the bags anyway, and then I use them for storing things that you use these kinds of bags for. The soap nuts I got, now this is not really an herbal thing, but I got a little over, probably about 1.5 pounds to fit into one of these jars. And so, yeah, anyway, working on that, and now I need to go and take care of my tea. So I will go do that. Okay, here's what I managed to get jarred up so far. I do have one more empty, clean half-gallon jar, but I don't believe I'm going to fill it up right this moment because I have other herbs, like for instance my ashwagandha and other things that are more suited to the quart storage jars, at least at this point for the current quantities I am purchasing. So I wanted to point out to make sure that once you start labeling or start jarring your herbs, if you decide you want to start storing them like this versus in their bags, honestly, you can store them in their bags, especially if you're going to go through them kind of quickly. The jars will just sort of like a little bit extend their life because it's more airtight. Plastic is still somewhat permeable to air and things will go bad a bit faster in the plastic. But if what you have is the plastic bags, then that's what you have and that's fine. Do that. So for instance, if you live in a really small space or if you don't have room to put everything out like this, getting yourself a nice big tote that you can just fill with your bags of herbs is probably something that's ideal. Honestly, that situation would be far more ideal for, say, like a bug out scenario, to be able to grab your whole tote of plastic bagged herbs. This is definitely setting them up to stay. And so that was an interesting decision for me. Anyway, I don't have to get into that right now, but obviously this is a prepping channel, so I think about things like that. But just make sure you label so that you don't get confused, especially at first. There's multiple herbs that can look almost exactly the same. You know, all these nice dark green herbs, and so we've got stevia, nettle, and comfrey. They're all very different. Also on my labels, because sometimes my kids will make teas or whatever, and this is actually the very first time I've ever had, not soap nuts. I've had soap nuts before. Nobody's trying to make tea out of soap nuts, but I did go ahead and label it not for internal use. And then on the comfrey as well, I put not for internal use, which I know is a point of debate amongst herbalists, but for now, we're saying not for internal use. I know, and I'm telling my kids too, and we don't use the comfrey as teas. This is mainly for soaking like injuries or making salves or whatever. And so this is actually my first time ever having comfrey on hand. And I'm very happy to add this to my little arsenal. But I wanted to also take a moment to say, so like I said, label, but let me turn you around and you can look at me and we'll chat about this. I think for me personally, one of the best things that I have done learning about the herbs, and I think for me, so much of it is, like I mention all the time, ADHD and all that I'm an extremely tactile person in general. And I'm always after like almost the full five senses experience with almost everything that I do. And so for me, I'm constantly taking these jars, and when I open them, I smell them, and I'm touching my herbs with my fingers. And I can put some on my tongue and like bite through the dry herbs just to taste it and see, you know, what is it like? What does it do in my mouth? And so for the ones that are appropriate to do that. So I wouldn't be doing that with the comfrey or with the soap nuts. I don't think the soap nuts would be very good, but like with the nettle, the stevia, whatever. So basically over the years, I have also built kind of a very tactile, almost visceral knowledge of what many of these herbs are and what many of them are like, to the point that I believe, and not like to toot my own horn or whatever, this is what I'm sharing. If you're wanting to get into herbal medicine, I think that this is one of the greatest ways to really begin to learn your herbs, is to learn them in that way, because I feel like even if I lost my labels, I would be able to tell what most of these are, as long as they're still fresh, as long as you still have the properties of the plant are still there, so that not only will it be helpful to you, but it's also something that you can identify in things like smell, taste, through feel, and things like that. Because you would be surprised. You would think that dried leaves are dried leaves are dried leaves, but there's actually a huge difference amongst the plants. Like for instance, one of the most kind of surprising and fun kind of tactile experiences I had in the early days was getting red raspberry leaf. And I had no idea that it was going to be as fluffy as it is. Red raspberry leaf is like little clouds. And it's just, yeah, it's all very different. And so I would very heartily recommend that you play with your herbs in that way. You like, again, just put a tiny bit on your tongue, chew it in your teeth, feel it, and just gain like a visceral knowledge, you know, a knowledge of just like, you know that herb. And then I think it helps with later identification, but also you can feel it, right? You can feel what it does. The herbal class I just most recently took that was all about viral, and like the pandemic and all of that stuff. This teacher, he really advocates that. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. Cause like, I'm kind of on the right track. He said basically the same exact thing, put it in your mouth, chew it, see how it feels, see what it does in your mouth. So like, for instance, if you get in the wild and you get white willow bark and you put it on your tongue, you chew it, you'll taste basically an aspirin taste. You'll know that's a very powerful medicine because you can taste it. Now, obviously be very careful, especially if you're in the wild, that you know for sure what plant you are tasting, or, you know, making sure that it's also safe and legal to harvest those plants. And so like all of that, like caveats, but just, you know, using your common sense, you can taste what it does. Like you can feel, for instance, there's certain ones too that's like really astringent. Like you can feel the astringency on your tongue and kind of get really familiar with the plants and understand the actions and like what they do in the body. So anyway, I'm going to figure out where on earth I'm putting these. I'm finishing up tea and also figuring out what on earth I'm doing for dinner. So yeah, it's been kind of a nice, a little bit more of a laid back day today. Like just kind of a lot of like organization projects and hanging out and just having fun and watching YouTube while I'm doing organization projects and stuff. I love days like that. I don't know. I just think it's really fun. So yeah. Okay, so here are the jars. I actually fit all but the soap nuts fit here, which is fine. I went ahead and put the soap nuts under my sink. So this is definitely sketchy and a little scary. This is not ideal, but it's sort of the space that I have to work with, right? I have this kind of deep and very tall cabinet. So I'm able to fit much more in here with this shape jar than I was with the taller ball mason jar. That one is stacked on top of another. So that's actually my big jar of dehydrated strawberries. It's not really an herb, but it's just sitting there for now, kind of like for lack of a better spot. But actually I should probably be moving the strawberries to the prepping shelf where all my prepped items are. And then make more room for herbs in here. But for now, I'm liking it. And then over here is where I have the ones that are in the, like the quart jars. But also obviously I have, you know, a random, pint jar. This is indigo. This is not an herb per se. This is what I use to dye my hair. So I dye my hair with, indigo and henna. And so, yeah, this is kind of all of my, my quart jar herbs, and they're kind of back there. And then there's kind of these random huge bags of like my lavender, and this is another lavender up here. And then this right here is alfalfa, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, it is. It's alfalfa. So I have a lot that still needs to go into jars, and it can be difficult to figure that out. And then shall I pan down and let you see my mess? Like this is the one that I've actually started kind of putting together, but yeah, why not? So this is the reality of what I am looking at. So a lot of these, for instance, are old supplement containers. They're empty, but I like to save these because they're great for putting in my own herbal capsules. I like the fact that they're amber glass and then they're darker and theoretically would help stuff stay better longer. But I also obviously have herbal capsules kind of here and there and everywhere. This is where I am not practicing what I preach. This is not labeled, but I know because I've been taking these every day. I know what they are. This is not biotin. This is shatavari. And then this is hawthornberry. And I can tell because you can tell the difference in color. Hawthornberry, shatavari. But these are the two that I've been taking daily. I've got some ginger right there for upset tummies. I've got activated charcoal. I've got, yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff in here. So I'm going to organize it and get a full tour at some point. But see over here, actually it's kind of a whole collection of empty jars. because I do wash these out and I clean them and I use them because they're perfectly good, especially these ones I get from Global Healing Center. They're glass. The stopper is glass. Like, it's a perfectly good glass tincture bottle. And so I reuse them. But anyway, I am being summoned to the bathroom. So I need to go help Sage. Okay, so I did figure out now finally what I'm making for dinner tonight because I went to freeze my bananas. And I have zero room in my freezers. Like, just absolutely none. So if I can't clear enough space, then I need to turn these into fruit leathers. But I would rather freeze them for smoothies and whatnot. But yeah, these, they got ripe really fast. It's getting warmer. So it's getting warmer in the house for sure. So I'm needing to kind of stay on top of these a little bit more than I do in winter. But anyway, so I was poking around in my freezer. I found these pie crusts, which I originally purchased on Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving for making pumpkin pies. I always get extra because I offer to make extra pumpkin pies every year for anybody who has family with allergies or whatever. And like a lot of years, I'm making 3, 4, 5 pies to give to people. This year, not a single person wanted a pumpkin pie. And so I was kind of surprised by that, but that's fine. I have all these shells left over. These are certified vegan. I have seen now since in Sprouts, they didn't have it before, but obviously these were for dessert. But they didn't have it before, but they have whole grain ones now of this brand. So that's what I would prefer for, just using at home. This is not whole grain, and it is obviously, it's got like shortening or whatever in it. But I want to get them used up also because they're cracking. I thought I had been so careful. They were sitting on top, but I guess they just get jostled around and cracked. And so when I was looking at these, I thought, what can I make? And I remembered this breakfast bite recipe I have. So y'all can pause and like write it down if you want to. But there's a lot of notes here that I haven't put here, but I typically have made these in little cupcake cups and they turn out fantastic. I have not tested it yet as a quiche. And so I thought, hey, no better time than now to go ahead and give that a shot. I am going to make a double batch of this and hopefully that will be enough to fill all 3. And I'm looking at them now wondering if it is enough. I don't know. We'll see. So if hopefully it's enough to fill all 3 and then also have some left over for which to have some left over just because I want all 3 full is mainly what I want. But then whatever leftovers I have, I will just turn into little breakfast bites in like cupcake cups instead. So anyway, my oven's preheating. These are thawing. I'm going to go ahead and get the mix started. And then, yeah, I'll probably just show you guys when they come out of the oven, what they look like. And hopefully it will be a success. All right, here they are out of the oven. And here's the slice. I already snuck a bite. It's pretty darn good, so I'm gonna call that a success.
There's one way to say, I like you.
You're so cute. All right, anyway. Dinner was a big hit. Everybody absolutely loves it. And well, not really Sage so much, but I didn't really expect her to be a huge fan, because she hasn't really ever liked the little veggie bites, when I've made them before. But anyway, otherwise, all of the older people in the house absolutely loved it. And Adam actually got some ketchup for his to dip. And so he's enjoying it that way. And then, yeah, anyway, I guess that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because now it's time to hang out with Adam since he's home. And we're going to just sit and hang out with Sage and watch a show and just sort of enjoy our evening together. So thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you got something out of that. Anyway, if you have any questions or just things you'd like to say, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. So as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. This is basically what it is like to try to have a conversation in our house, as an FYI. Do you want to say goodbye? Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.